prison cell because there were just little tiny windows that I could see the sun out of. It made me realize no matter what job I had in the future, it would never be as bad as working at Amazon.
New poll.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Again. Hello. So I changed my mind. I was gonna watch the Bernie Sanders town hall alone, but I felt it needed to be done.
Have 400.
I'm gonna skip back to the beginning of the town hall so you can see the intro.
Let's find out more.
As many people as can make their voices heard on the opinions should.
Jews.
Skipping past the news.
Who's restart? Expensive bike path. In order to deal with that emergency. I gotta borrow that money in order to deal with that emergency. At 5 of the 13 pages,
There's the end of the intro.
almost 6%. It's all right. More deep. Look at that. Of Amazon with the core. So stay right here. We'll be right back with our whole panel looking and showing you the two. Come right back.
Okay, here we go.
We looked at what the core values were of the brand. In Disney's case, it's things like inclusion and universal appeal. It's good over evil. It's the value of good work. It's the value of treating people well.
I need to apply for food stamp because I don't have food sometimes in the table. In the last 5 years, I benefited 3 times. I eat 1 meal a day just to survive.
I did work many days that were 15, 16 hours, and I had that mini stroke after 1 year.
I'm very proud of our working conditions.
Many times we work 2 weeks straight without a day off, leaving at 4 o'clock in the morning, coming home at 9, 10 o'clock in the evening. That was my reality at Amazon. I am fully convinced that the success of Amazon is actually created by the sheer terror pushing people to the extreme.
We had revenue growth of almost 6%. It's evidence to us that the investments we're making in our product and our people are working.
I know people that eat ramen noodles weeks at a time because they can't afford food. I also have to live off of food stamp. I look at my coworkers and we're all struggling.
I almost felt like it was a huge prison cell because there were just little tiny windows that I could see the sun out of. It made me realize no matter what job I had in the future, it would never be as bad as working at Amazon.
One of my favorite things about working at Walmart is the opportunity to make a difference in the world. The size of the company gives us the opportunity as leaders to make the world a better place.
Walmart said Thursday it's closing more than 60 Sam's Club stores nationwide and laying off thousands of workers.
Labor unions are nothing but blood-sucking parasites.
When I started working at Walmart, I was only making $8.30. I was receiving Section 8, food stamps, Medi-Cal.
We just had a great quarter overall as a company. Led by the
Pause.
studio and
When I started working for Walmart, I started at $8.45 an hour. Even after they raised my wages to $10.50 and then later to, I think it was $11 by the time I quit. I wasn't able to afford much food. I was living out of a 1-bedroom apartment in Olney, Illinois, and the rent prices in that town are so outrageous that, yeah, I should have applied for food stamps. I didn't. I was barely surviving. I'm working at McDonald's now. I make about $8.55, maybe $8.65 an hour, I'm the only income in a 2-person household right now. I'm able to keep the lights on, but I have to occasionally let my student loan payments slide. So, yeah.
Resorts.
I had to move my 16-year-old daughter out of the house. I can no longer afford to take care of her.
We've now had 11 quarters of growth. The market's reacted very generously to us over the last 3 years.
My CEO makes over $9,000 an hour while I struggle.
Disney is quite special. We create joy and wonder in the world, inspiring dreams and capturing the imagination of millions and billions of people.
Disney prides itself on the fact that it's a place where dreams come true. Well, Disney, where's my dream?
Thank all of you here in the nation's capital for being with us this evening. Let me thank the many people who are watching this on live stream, and let me especially thank our co-conspirators, if you like, on this effort, the Young Turks, Now This, The Guardian, Attention, Free Speech TV, Credo, Move On, The Nation, and Good Jobs Nation. Thank you all very much. What we're doing tonight, I don't think has ever been done on television before. And that is talk about the reality of life for tens and tens of millions of workers who every single day in the wealthiest country in the history of the world are struggling to put food on the table for their kids, are struggling to pay their rent, struggling to deal with childcare and the other basic necessities of life. Now we hear every single day from the president and everybody else that the economy is booming, that it's doing just great. And the fact is that unemployment is reasonably low.
Yeah.
But the other truth is that real wages for the average American worker continue to decline. And all over this country, people are working not just one job, but 2 jobs, 3 jobs to put food on the table. We got 30 million people who have no health insurance, and even more who are underinsured.
I'm one of those people who doesn't have health insurance.
We have some 40% of our population who, if they experience a $400 emergency, the car breaks down, their kid gets sick, they
My
don't
moped
have
broke.
enough money in their pockets to pay those bills. They got to borrow that money in order to deal with that emergency. Meanwhile, Meanwhile,
Okay, so it was an issue with the streaming client. Yeah, so they detected they were having an issue.
some 40% of our
So they're having some technical difficulties. Still having technical difficulties.
Francesca Fiorentina joining us. Hey, Francesca. But with the stream itself from the Bernie Sanders town. There's a streaming issue, not with us guys, but with the stream itself from the Bernie Sanders town hall. So we're going to pick it up from here, and as soon as they're back, we'll go straight to the town hall. So stay with us.
Okay.
As far as we can tell, it's not on anywhere.
Hey Anna, hey Francesca.
So the minute it's up, we'll
Haven't seen you in forever.
Francesca Fiorentina. Nina joining us. Hey, Francesca.
Hi, Jake. How's it going?
I miss your
rock and
show,
roll,
Francesca.
sister, rock and roll.
I'm here. I'm glad to be back.
Okay, hey.
It's been a while.
Well, you're not the only one that's glad. First of all, of course, I'm glad. We're all glad.
Okay.
But also, Kel Visor writes in, woohoo, anytime we get more Francesca is a good day.
Yeah, even more. See, better than Sanders, right? Come on now. All right. That's just going to jumpstart the live stream.
Well, yeah. Okay, but now the comments might go in a different direction. Anna Kasparian obviously is here with us as well. We're going to do commentary after the event. Okay, we're going to share with you guys our thoughts and analysis on them, as we do after every town hall. Lamont Gardner wrote in about you as well on YouTube Super Chat.
Oh, nice.
He said, love you guys. Anna, love your brain. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate
That is
that.
very nice.
I want to hug your brain. You get that? Is that more or less creepy? I want to hug your brain. I feel like it's creepier.
It's both.
I get a lot of creepy comments. That is the least creepiest thing. Like,
Yeah.
Cool. That's
That is
nice.
the least creepy.
So, yeah.
I hear you. On the other hand, it does it does make me feel weird. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like, oh, don't touch my brain.
I want to make intellectual love to you.
No, that's good. That I like.
Oh, it's just the brain stuff.
All right, let's see how long it takes for them to get back to the town hall.
Nice. With
Ooh, right there.
Wage, especially for a mom with a child. But can you imagine working at a place for 8 years and being at $12.50? Okay. Just talk about, I mean, presumably you pay rent. Yes, presumably you eat, and you presumably
I don't
take
even
care
make
of your
that.
kid. At the end of the week, how do you manage to keep going on $12.50 an hour?
So I get paid every 2 weeks, and
And back to having streaming issues. Jeez.
History of the world. You work hard. You know, all of us have been to McDonald's at one time or another. And as I understand it, you told me you do all kinds of work there. It's not just one job. You're in the kitchen and you're at the counter and in the cash register. Everything else. How many weeks of paid vacation do you get?
none.
Everybody get that?
No paid vacation.
No, we
can
don't.
Take 2 weeks
We
off,
don't get paid
but you will
vacations.
not get paid.
All right. This is an employee who has worked for a company for 8 years in the wealthiest country in the history of the world. She works hard, and she gets 0 paid vacation. All right. Anything else, Adriana,
So I'm
that
guessing
you
she's a
wanted to share with us?
So far, no.
Okay. Our next panelist is Cynthia Murray. And Cynthia works also for one of the largest corporations in this country, a corporation that is owned by the Walton family, the wealthiest family in America. Cynthia, thank you so much for being here. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Thank you. My name is Cynthia Murray. I am excited to be here tonight. I'm a founding member of our Walmart organization, and I've been with Walmart 18 years. So for me, it's very personal. I started at Walmart in 2000. 5 years after I was there, I seen a decline in how they treated workers, screaming at us in the aisles. No respect at all for us.
Dustin and I both used to work for Walmart.
One day a young girl came by.
He just got fired
and she was in tears.
because he was put in
She
an
quit
entrapment
that day.
position by
She told me they were
management
coming
to
for
get
me.
fired.
And all I could do was say to myself is, what did I do? Well, she was right. The next day they took me in the office with 3 managers in there and just me. And the manager told me, she said, you're going to do what I tell you to do. And I said, well, I do that. And so she had a folder in her hand. I was an injured worker. That's what led me to work for Walmart in the first place. She threw the folder across the table at me. There was nothing in it. And I made a remark to her, and I said, well, I can have my attorney fax my medical records to you. And she said to me, are you threatening me? And I was like, no. You know, I said, but this is over. This isn't the way I was raised, and I don't believe that anybody in the workforce should be treated in that manner whatsoever. That day I decided that things were going to change, and I was going to stand for respect for every worker in our company and all workers.
Walmart treated me like crap at my last location. My first 2 stores, Effingham and Olney, they were
Walmart
great.
told us that it was only my store
Carbondale,
across the country. We then found out that what they were saying to us
yeah.
wasn't true. They were treating each and every one of us the same manner, disrespecting us. So
Yeah.
we decided to do something about that. We joined together. We made an organization, and we said enough is enough. They pride themselves on low wages, on paying their workers low wages. Meanwhile, we don't even make the poverty level. So from that time forward, we decided that we would also march for 15 and full time. When you come in our Walmart doors now, you start at $11 an hour. That's well and fine. That's still not enough. But the
Yeah.
long-time associates that are there have not even got a raise for a cost of living, which, as you know, I don't make $15 an hour, and I've been there 18 years. There's something wrong with that in our country.
Yeah.
Cynthia, a lot of employees, as I understand it, work fewer than 40 hours a week at Walmart. Why is that?
Well, Walmart figures that the more that they have part-time workers, that it's cheaper work for them. We don't get many benefits anymore. They took most of those away. But the turnover rate is high in all the Walmart stores across the country. Once a worker comes in and they see what it is to work there, they leave. We're understaffed, overworked, and they disrespect us. And so these are some of the problems that we have now in our stores across the country. It's not just happening in one store.
Yeah.
And we thought that what better way to do things than to join hands with all retail workers and other workers. And so we built an organization called our Walmart. And so now we have that we would like each and everybody that...
They unionized. They basically unionized without becoming a union.
If people are paid wages that are really pretty unlivable, how do they survive in terms of healthcare, in terms of getting the food they need? Are many of your coworkers turning to government programs?
Yes, Bernie, almost the majority of them. They offer us health care, but it's unaffordable for them, so most of them are on Medicare, food stamps, and public housing. That's the only way that they can make it. A lot of them have to go to the food banks.
I had to go to the food banks when I worked at Walmart.
To feed the other workers. Don't get me wrong.
I still occasionally have to ask for a ride to a food bank.
We take care of each other. If one needs
Working at
something,
McDonald's.
we give it to the other. But for them to do
And I
that,
get paid less
if
at
they're one of the
McDonald's.
richest companies in the world,
Admittedly,
come
my
on,
rent's lower
let's
now,
get
but
up off of it and let's take care of our workers.
it's still barely affordable with what I'm making.
When you stop and you think about it, here is a company owned by the Walton family, which is the wealthiest family in this country. And we as taxpayers have got to subsidize the employees who work for this
Massive corporation. And for the wealthiest family in the world.
country. Man, this is an issue that this country is going to have to deal with. But I thank you very much, Cynthia, for all that you're doing. Our next panelist is Artemis Bell. And Artemis also works for one of the largest, most profitable corporations in America, and that's Disney. And she works for that beautiful resort.
Okay, so Disneyland Resort, California.
Is Donald Duck and Mickey Mouse, what's really going on in their lives. Artemis, thank you very much for being here. Why don't you talk a little bit? How long have you been at Disneyland?
I have worked for the resort for about 7 years.
And how much are you making after 7 years of work?
$11.86.
Okay. And tell me about Anaheim and Orange County, California. That is a pretty expensive place to live, right?
Yes, yes.
How do people live on $11.86 an hour?
We don't really. On $11.86, plus I get a third shift differential, so I make just barely $12.50 after everything's put together. It's barely $1 more than a new hire makes now, but for a lot of my coworkers, they've been living in their cars. A lot of people have lost their homes and they're living in motels. I've been holding on.
I'm going to interrupt you because something comes to my mind.
Okay.
You know, I was told, and I don't know if it's accurate, tell me if it is, that there was a tent city where workers were living in tents in Disneyland. Is that true? Does that ring a bell?
Well, there was a tent city. It was a part of the homeless issue in Orange County as a whole, and I do understand that there were Disneyland workers living there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, the homeless issue in Orange County has made me even more afraid to lose my apartment because there's no resources if you need help. I hold on to my apartment by the skin of my nails as best I can by having roommates, but that's very difficult on us because everybody's kind of in the same boat I am. We all barely make enough. I have a 2-bedroom apartment, and there have been times when we've had a roommate in the living room. We just barely make it, even when we have more roommates than we have bedrooms. And it's very difficult when you've got a roommate who just moves out without any notice. And then all of a sudden you have to scrape together the extra money
Savoni, if
to
you ever
cover
see
that
this, I'm
roommate's
so
rent.
sorry about
Through my choices
not being able to
to
cover
keep my
my part of the
housing
rent.
at all costs because I don't
About
want to
Glenn.
deal with the homelessness in Orange County. I don't want to be the person dealing with it.
Do you know people who are working at Disneyland who are really sleeping in their cars?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I've known people who are currently sleeping in their cars, and about a year and a half ago, a cast member from my shift actually passed away in her car, and she was so embarrassed that nobody knew she was living in her car, and when she just disappeared, people were searching for her. They were looking at the last address that they had for her, and she wasn't there. People said she hadn't lived there for a long time. The company made no effort to look for her. This was a cast member who had, she never called out. She was always doing 6 days, and she'd worked for the company for about 10 years, I think. And she was just gone, and the company just wrote her off because she stopped showing up to work. And it was because of the diligent work of the other cast members calling her family and calling the police and everything that they could think of that we were eventually alerted when she was found passed away in her car. But the company did nothing to help us find her, and the company continues to do very little to help us get to a wage where we don't have to live in our car or worry about living in our car.
And I think it's worth noting that the CEO of Disney, Bob Iger, signed a contract recently for, was it $423 million over a 4-year period?
Yes.
So this is a company that makes billions in profits, can provide a $423 million compensation package, but you have people who are working there. And you know, what's ironic about Disney, this is supposed to be the place, it's a happy land, right? You're supposed to be making people feel good in fantasy world, and yet many of the workers there are really just struggling economically.
They're still having streaming issues,
and again, this is one of the most
causing the
expensive
distortions.
places in the world to live, Orange County, California. And people sometimes have difficulty putting food on the table and feeding themselves. Have you heard stories about that?
Yes, I've heard quite a few stories of that. I know a lot of people who have to go to food banks. I've gone to food banks myself. I try to make food a priority for myself because I was always taught that that's like the foundation to your health. and my family has some health issues that I don't want to have to deal with. And so I always make sure to feed myself, but that means that I'm cutting into other bills that I could be paying with that money.
What about healthcare? Do people have decent health insurance to work at Disney?
The healthcare is okay, but because our wages are so low, it is difficult for us to use it. About a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago, I got very, very sick. And I'm prone to sinus infection, so I thought I could deal with it, and I didn't go to the doctor right away. But after more than a week of being sick, I realized that this was something out of the ordinary. And I went to the doctor. My doctor was very mad at me for not coming sooner because it turned out I had pneumonia. After paying my copay and after paying for the...
That's a very common story with Walmart and McDonald's workers as well.
At all. So I had to, all I had in my cupboard at the time, I think, was spaghetti and tomato sauce. And I lived on that for 3 weeks because I didn't have any money for food after that.
You know, we're hearing from workers tonight, people may be watching this and they say, well, it's too bad we got 5 people up here, they're struggling. This is not 5 people. This is what is going on all over this country. These are the stories of tens and tens of millions of Americans. So Artemis, thank you very much for sharing your story.
Thank you, Artemis. The first full interview, and it's even more heartbreaking than what little bit of the other two.
Now, Amazon is an unusual company.
Good Walmart and almost all of the McDonald's one.
Exploding in many areas, which is an issue unto itself. It's also a fairly secretive company in trying to figure out what's going on with their workforce. But what we do know is that the owner of Amazon, Jeff Bezos, I think as of today, is the wealthiest person in the country at $150 billion worth of personal wealth. But what we also know is that a significant percentage of workers who work for Amazon are working at wages so low that they are also dependent upon government programs. But that's only half the story, because a lot of people who work for Amazon don't really work for Amazon. They are independent contractors. They are hired by an independent body, and their wages, we believe, are even lower than Amazon's wages are. Seth King is a former Amazon employee. He is a veteran of the United States Navy. You served 8 years in the Navy, is that right, Seth?
Yes.
And you work for...
Hello, Sailor Boy.
Worked in
You're
an
attractive.
Amazon warehouse in Chesterfield, Virginia.
So
Seth,
freaking cute. Oh, come on.
can you tell
Flag
us a
now.
little bit about your experience at Amazon?
Hi, I'm Seth King. I'm a proud father of 2, ex-vet or ex-military. Coming into Amazon, I was pretty confident with optimistic about how the job was going to be. I knew that they paid a little bit better than what I was used to out in the job force, and they provided benefits and 401k. And pretty quickly, right off the bat, realized that it's a luxury to offer things like that when they burn people out so fast that nobody ever really gets a chance to use it.
Yeah.
And that their model is basically, it's a revolving door of just bodies that they're throwing at the floor, and so I would
Same
start
model
a
as
day,
Walmart and McDonald's.
come into work, door stretches, and then it was 10 hours for 4 days straight, walking. You're not allowed to sit down. You're not allowed to.
My 8-hour days are basically
talk
that,
to
because
other
I have
people on the same
about a
aisles if I was
45-minute
not
walk,
Just conversing with people throughout the day as I was
30-minute
working.
run, or rather jog,
They would
to and
start.
from work.
They would do
So
something
it's
called a
sometimes
working
9.
party, where they would tell us all.
All my 8-hour shifts are basically
this
9-hour
aisle all
days.
the way down for the rest of the warehouse.
Sometimes 10.
There's only allowed to be one person, and if you were caught talking to other people or interacting with other people, you'd get written up. And that was within the first week that I would. This. The first training day, we started with about people. Fourth training day, there was only 8 because so many left. They just weren't cut for how physically demanding the job was. And the environment is just